Let me ask you something real for a second. Have you ever been sitting there, not doing anything especially stressful, not dealing with bad news, not even feeling tired, and yet something feels off? Not sadness, not anger, just this quiet emptiness you can't explain. You reach for your phone, scroll for a bit, nothing changes. You play music, it doesn't land. You tell yourself you should be grateful, motivated, fine, and that somehow makes it worse. And at some point the thought creeps in, why can't I just feel okay for no reason? That moment right there is where most people assume something is wrong with them. But the truth is much simpler and a lot more uncomfortable. Nothing is wrong with you at all. Your brain is just doing what it was built to do, and it's doing it a little too well for modern life. Here's the part nobody explains. Your brain was never designed to make you feel happy, fulfilled, or inspired. Those are side effects, not priorities. Your brain's real job is to keep you alive by reacting fast. Faster than logic, faster than reason, faster than your thoughts. It scans constantly for changes, risks, and uncertainty. And when it can't find clear signals of safety, it doesn't panic loudly. It goes quiet, flat, neutral. That empty feeling isn't depression starting. It's not laziness. It's your nervous system staying half alert with nowhere to discharge that energy. And the reason it feels so confusing is because nothing obvious caused it. Think about this. Two people can have the exact same frustrating day. Same traffic, same pressure, same problems waiting for them tomorrow. One of them carries that heaviness all night. The other feels tense for a moment, then resets. The difference isn't mindset, it isn't discipline. It happens in the first few seconds after the stress hits. One nervous system stays activated, the other shuts the loop down, and that loop can be interrupted far faster than most people realize, but not by thinking your way out of it. Most advice fails because it starts in the wrong place. We're told to reframe, to stay positive, to find motivation, to change our perspective. But emotional states don't start in thoughts. They start in signals. Signals from your body, your breath, your posture, your facial muscles. Your brain is constantly asking one simple question before anything else. Are we safe right now? And it decides the answer long before you form a sentence in your head. Right now, without realizing it, your body might be telling your brain a story you didn't choose. A clenched jaw, slightly raised shoulders, a fixed stare. Tiny things, but to your nervous system, they matter. Your brain reads those signals and assumes vigilance is required. That's why you can be lying on a couch, doing nothing, and still feel uneasy. The environment is calm, but the signals aren't. Here's where it gets interesting. Your brain trusts physical information more than mental reassurance. You can tell yourself, I'm fine, all day, but if your body says otherwise, your brain believes the body. That's not psychology, that's biology. And it means the fastest way to shift how you feel isn't by forcing a new thought, it's by changing the signal first. Try this quietly while listening. Let your jaw loosen, not exaggerated, just released. Let your tongue rest instead of pressing. Lift your eyebrows slightly, the way your face looks when you're curious, not when you're alert. Let the muscles around your eyes soften. You're not smiling. You're not pretending to be happy. You're just removing tension. Hold that for about 15 seconds. What's happening underneath that simple adjustment is powerful. Your brain interprets those muscle positions as non-threatening. When it senses safety, it reduces stress hormones and shifts your nervous system out of guard mode. You didn't convince yourself of anything. You didn't fix your mood. You just gave your brain a signal it understands instantly. This is why people often feel relief after a deep exhale or a stretch without knowing why. The body spoke first. Here's the mistake almost everyone makes. They wait to feel calm before they relax. But relaxation is what creates calm. Your brain works in reverse of how we're taught. Change the signal, then the feeling follows. And once you understand that, you stop fighting your own biology. But what if the body settles and the mind won't? What if the thoughts keep looping, replaying conversations, jumping ahead, narrating everything that could go wrong? That's the second place people get stuck. They assume they need to stop thinking. They try to distract themselves. They try to suppress the feeling. And again, that backfires. Your brain has different systems for reacting and for observing. When emotions surge, the reactive system takes over. It's fast, automatic, and loud. But the moment you step into observation, even slightly, control shifts. And the fastest way to do that isn't analysis, it's labeling. The next time you notice tension, heaviness, irritation, or that empty flatness, say one sentence. Silently or out loud, it doesn't matter. I'm feeling tense. I'm feeling overwhelmed. I'm feeling disconnected. No story, no explanation, just the name. That simple act pulls activity away from emotional centers and into regulatory ones. You stop being swallowed by the feeling and start standing next to it. Think about the difference between being caught in a storm and watching rain through a window. The storm hasn't vanished, but your relationship to it has changed. And here's why this works so quickly. Your brain can't fully escalate an emotion while also categorizing it. Labeling interrupts the loop. You're not trying to calm down. You're not trying to fix anything. You're just noticing, and noticing creates space. Let me ask you something here. How many times have you made an emotion worse by arguing with it instead of acknowledging it? How often has resistance kept a feeling alive longer than it needed to be? When you combine these two signals, a relaxed body and a labeled emotion, something subtle but important happens. Your nervous system gets the message, I'm safe and I'm aware. That combination alone is enough to shift your internal state, sometimes within seconds. Not permanently, not magically, but enough to stop the spiral. And yet, even with safety and awareness, there's one more piece missing. Because calm doesn't automatically turn into motivation. Relief doesn't automatically turn into momentum. That's where most people stall. They feel a little better, then drift right back into numbness. Now here's where everything you've learned so far either turns into real change, or fades away like every other good idea you've heard before. Because calming your nervous system is powerful, but calm alone doesn't create momentum. Calm doesn't automatically give you energy. Calm doesn't push you forward. What actually moves you out of that flat, stuck state is something your brain cares about even more than comfort: progress. And this is where most people unknowingly sabotage themselves. We've been taught that motivation comes first, that you need to feel ready, inspired, or confident before you act. But your brain doesn't work on readiness, it works on evidence. It doesn't ask, do we feel motivated? It asks, did we just move forward? And if the answer is yes, even in the smallest way, your brain responds immediately. This is why waiting for motivation almost always fails. Motivation is not the cause, it's the effect. It shows up after action, not before. And the smaller the action, the faster your brain rewards it. Think about the last time you felt completely stuck. Chances are it wasn't because you had nothing to do. It was because everything felt too big, too overwhelming, too unclear. Big goals don't inspire a stressed nervous system, they intimidate it. They delay reward, they signal uncertainty. And uncertainty is something your brain tries to avoid, not chase. So instead of pushing you forward, your brain slows you down. It conserves energy, it creates resistance. Not because you're lazy, but because from a survival perspective, moving towards something vague and demanding doesn't feel safe. Here's the shift that changes everything. Your brain releases dopamine, the chemical associated with motivation, focus, and optimism. Not when you achieve something massive, but when you complete something small and immediate. That's not opinion. That's how the reward system works. Dopamine spikes on completion, not on intention. Right now, think of something that takes less than 15 seconds. Straightening your posture, taking one slow, deliberate breath, drinking a sip of water, checking off one tiny task you've been avoiding. Do it. Just one. What your brain just registered wasn't the task itself. It registered progress. And progress tells your nervous system, we're moving, we're capable, we're not stuck. That single signal is enough to change your internal chemistry. Not dramatically, not forever, but enough to create momentum. This is why starting is always harder than continuing. Once you start, your brain begins to help you. Before that, it resists. Most people wait to feel motivated so they can start. The people who actually move forward start so their brain can generate motivation for them. Ask yourself this honestly. How many times have you tried to think your way into action instead of acting your way into motivation? The beauty of this mechanism is that it doesn't care what the action is. Your brain doesn't evaluate whether the task is impressive or meaningful. It only registers that something was completed. That's why tiny wins are so powerful when you're low, flat, or overwhelmed. They don't require energy. They create it. And here's something important most people miss. Dopamine doesn't just make you feel good, it increases your ability to focus, to problem solve, and to tolerate discomfort. One small win doesn't just lift your mood, it makes the next step easier, and the next, and the next. This is why trying to overhaul your life when you're drained almost never works. It's too much signal, too little reward, but stacking micro-progress rewires how your brain responds to challenge. Slowly, quietly, reliably. Now imagine combining everything you've learned so far. You notice that flat off feeling creeping in. Instead of judging it, you soften your body. You send your brain a signal of safety. You name the emotion without fighting it. Then you create one small, immediate win. In under a minute, your nervous system shifts. Not because life changed, not because you convinced yourself of anything, but because your brain chemistry did. That's real control, not control over circumstances, control over response. And the more often you practice this sequence, the faster your brain learns it. These aren't habits that take weeks to build. They're switches you can flip once you know where they are. This also explains something people rarely talk about. Happiness isn't a permanent state you arrive at. It's a temporary state you activate, again and again, through signals your brain understands. Waiting for it to show up on its own is like waiting for a light to turn on without touching the switch. Let me ask you something important here. If you knew you could interrupt a bad mental state in under a minute, would you still let it run for hours? Or would you start treating emotions less like enemies and more like signals? The goal isn't to be happy all the time. That's unrealistic. The goal is to stop feeling trapped inside states that don't serve you. To know that when you feel off, overwhelmed, or empty, you're not powerless. You're just one signal away from change. And once you really understand this, something shifts. You stop identifying so strongly with how you feel in the moment. You stop assuming that a low state means something is wrong with your life. You recognize it for what it is, a nervous system waiting for direction. Here's the truth most people never learn. Happiness isn't something you find by fixing everything. It's something you activate by working with your biology instead of against it. Your brain already has everything it needs. You just learned how to signal safety, how to step out of emotional loops, and how to create momentum on demand. So the next time you feel flat for no reason, the next time motivation disappears, the next time your mind tells you you're stuck, you'll know exactly what to do. Not eventually, not tomorrow, in that moment. If this helped you see your mind differently, subscribe, not as a favor, but because learning how your brain actually works changes more than motivation videos ever will. And remember this, you're not broken, you're not behind, you're just learning how to use the system you've had all along.